Mic check 1 2. Check 1 2. I hope everything is working. I am not too sure, but looking forward to having a pretty cool show tonight. But I think we should start with the good old countdown. What do you say? Hey? Okay, let's do it. And before we get started, we always have to give a shout out to the one and only, the 306 Skate Shop. The Wavell Star Show is proudly brought to you by the 306 Shop, located at 2322 9th Avenue North in Regina, Saskatchewan. As you can see, they have made the brand new Wavell 306 shirts. And if you want one, you can hit me up, or you can head on down to 2322 9th Avenue North to the 306 Shop. I think we got it. I think we got it. So with that, welcome to the Wavell Star Show. I'm your host, First Nation sensation, Wavell Star, coming to you Facebook Live, and for the very first time ever, LinkedIn Live. Not sure how we're going to do over there, but it's great to see that LinkedIn is now open to live broadcasts. So we'll see how we do with the show over there. So welcome if you're coming in from LinkedIn. Welcome to everybody out there. We've got a very special show here today. This is a special edition of the live podcast. We're going to talk a little bit about what happened this week here at Wapimustusis. That's the White Calf Reserve, just near Lebret, Saskatchewan. Of course, there was the Indian Residential School search results that was recently brought out with the media released by the Star Blanket Cree Nation. So with that, without further ado, we will go ahead and bring a couple of our guests on with us. First and foremost, we have with us, he is the Director of Operations as well as the Project Manager for the Indian Residential School Search for the Star Blanket Cree Nation. Please welcome Mr. Sheldon Poitras. Sheldon, how you doing, man?
Oh, I'm doing good.
Doing good. So, of course, you had that big event yesterday. There must have been a lot of preparations going into that, and I bet you there wasn't a lot of sleep.
No, actually, when I was doing that presentation, I hadn't slept for 2 days. So as soon as I got home yesterday after that, I slept until about 11 o'clock this morning. So pretty tired, but pretty relieved that we're able to finally make that announcement yesterday.
For sure. So just taking it back for some of the people that may not be aware, when did the whole process start with the IRS search at Wapimustusis?
The whole process began about a year and a half ago, 2021. We were already in discussion in formulating a project team right around the Kamloops announcement.
Mm-hmm.
We were in the discussion phase at that time. Then Kamloops made their announcement. And then everyone looked at us. Are you guys going to do something? What's going on? Did you guys start anything? So that kind of put a fire under us a little bit to kind of get things rolling, get things started. So we formulated a project team, and then we had some strat planning meetings. We started communicating with the community and to get some ideas on how to proceed. We got an invite to the Cowsis location. They were very open to us viewing their site and learning what we could from them. They were pretty open to sharing their challenges, their successes, what worked, what didn't, and kind of put us on a good road. We didn't have to learn the same mistakes they did. They gave us that they paved that road for us, I guess, to kind of get going without any hiccups.
Right. Along that line, did they have any information kind of pertaining to, I guess, protocol and maybe anything to watch out for at the very beginning of this project, or certainly throughout the entirety of it?
Oh, for sure. They had a lot of cultural people around them. a lot of folks that I recognized from rain dances and ceremonies and things like that. So they were well taken care of in that regard for sure. And that was one of the main things they made sure and asked that we do is that, protocol first, right? We're dealing with deceased, we're dealing with a lot of trauma, a lot of stress and anxiety around this whole process. So they wanted to make sure that we knew that comes first. So we took that away with us, and we made sure that we had cultural advisors on our team, and that everything was filtered through the whole spiritual process, each step we took.
So, was that something that you did fully at the very beginning before you even started to move forward, or did you guys sort of start kind of navigating your way through it? Because I imagine it's a very complicated path to take. I can only imagine there must have been
Yeah,
lots of thoughts.
everything started with the sweat. We had a good sweat, and that kind of kicked off everything for us. We always have, every time we met with the community, it's always opening prayer, it's smudging, it's doing all those things, kind of forecasting what do we do if, already thinking about the proper protocols and ceremonies. If we find, if we discover, if this, if that, we got to make sure we had that cultural plan in place. So everything's set. It's just a matter of doing the work now, and making sure that we follow through with what we said we're going to do as far as spiritual processes.
Right. I imagine before you even started, there was probably an idea of what generally a worst case scenario could potentially be here. And of course, with the announcement, there was the discovery of human remains. I believe you had said it was a child between the ages of 4 to 6 years old. So obviously, when you had going in there, kind of suspecting that you might find something like that. When you actually when you actually do go ahead and find something like that, when that happened, what was that like? What was the reaction within the team?
Well, it was a little bit of a shock. Uh, the community, the team, we always knew we would find something. There wasn't a doubt that eventually we would discover something. We didn't think it would have been this soon. We thought around, after we do the core sampling and testing Earth for DNA evidence and all that, we figured we'd make a discovery then. So later on down the road, but thanks to our little four-legged friend there,
Yeah.
That advanced our timeline a little bit. So uh, it was a shock for sure when it went around the team. But like I said, we had a plan in place, and we had to get over the initial shock and start planning how we were going to communicate that to everyone.
Right, right. So I watched during the entirety of it, and one moment that really caught my attention and grabbed me was when you shared your story, your experience when you were attending the school, and you had stumbled upon an underground room. And can you tell us a little bit more about that and what that discovery led to further on?
Well, that experience stuck with me since it happened. I was at the school. I was a student there from '87 to '91, and one day it was really hot out. They had just recently repaved the parking lot, and pavement is new, very dark, so it attracted a lot of sunlight, a lot of heat, so much so that there was a parked truck in the parking lot there, and the pavement got soft, and the front of that truck sunk into a void. So the students all heard about it. The a truck sunk into the ground, and we're all curious. So in between classes, a few of us kind of went running out there to see what was going on. They were just pulling that truck out when we got there. So being curious at that age, right, and no regards for safety, or maybe that room will cave in some more or anything like that. We jumped down in there, and I had about 5 minutes to look around. It was at that time. we didn't know that we would be looking for things like that. At that time, it was just wondering why this room was here, and I could tell it was an old room, like old, like from the medical jars I seen on the shelving to the gurney that was in the middle of the room. Uh, I, I was just wondering at that time, well, why is this room here? Why is this room underground? Why is this here? And while I was thinking about that, you have to scamper away and go to class. So I thought, I'll come back. I'll come back and I'll examine this room further. So we all jumped out. We went to class, and at the end of the day, now when I had some free time, I was going to go back. But by that time, they had filled it in. They dumped gravel in it and filled it back up and whatnot. So I never ever got that opportunity. But that stuck with me throughout my life. And now, as soon as the project team was going and there was technology that could scan the ground right away, that memory came back, and I thought, okay, while we're going through scanning of our area, I'm going to make sure that they scan that area. So when it was time to scan that area, I let them know about my story, and I said, I was down here. You're going to find something here. So scan this whole area, and they did. They found my room, and they found another room, and it looks like it's leading east. And when that happened, it reminded me of Lake Glenadicot's story there. We were children, and it brought back that description he made because it falls right in line where that priest house used to be. That those rooms, they lead that way. And so it was just a big impact, like a lot of these stories we're hearing, a lot of the stories of the old survivors and the ones that aren't here anymore, those pieces are starting to fit with what we're actually finding, right? So that's very amazing. That's very overwhelming.
Yeah.
And then it started to cave in there just this past spring because we got so much rain that the pavement is actually caving in there in the parking lot. And I had a look at that. I could see a corner of my room where I went, and it touches another corner to where that other room is. And this is after the scan, right? So
yeah.
So that was I can't wait to get some people together and start excavating.
Yes.
What's down there.
For sure, man. That's lots. That's a lot to take in. It must have been something.
Yeah.
I want to ask a little bit about some of the reaction that you've got from the media, but I do have somebody on standby. I'm not sure if her camera is working yet, but I'm going to bring her on and see if we can at least get her audio. Carrie, can you hear us? Carrie, can you hear us? Mic check 1 2. She must have stepped away. Okay, I'll take her out of the stream for a bit. She's probably working on getting her camera working here. Wanted to ask a little bit about the, you have your notes ready, you planned, and you know exactly what you're going to say, but an aspect of this is out of your control, and that's with what anybody else is going to say.
Yep.
So were there any comments or any feedback that you received that, caught your attention or stood out to you?
I haven't received any feedback myself. There is a group. I was made aware today that there is a group of naysayers, so to speak, that try to discredit, all IRS projects and any scanning information and anything like that. There's a group out there that does that. I don't know who that is. It kind of shows you how much I care about that. But moving forward, I knew there's going to be support and acknowledgement and people who take that in and accept it, and then there's going to be the ones that will say anything and everything they can to discredit what's going on. But whatever side of that table you're on, you can't refute the fact that remains were found.
That's right? It for sure. That's what it is now. Because up to now, the people what they would say is, oh, it's just a radar hit. We don't know what it is. It could be could be just an old lawn chair or
Yeah.
or whatever. They're coming up with reasons and justifying things that it could be,
Yeah.
and saying, well, there's no, probably not a grave, not a body dump or anything
Yeah.
like that, is what people are saying. But now that they've actually been confirmed, and I believe it was the Sask coroner's office, was it not, that confirmed?
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So it's official, it's legit,
Yep.
and it's documented. So now there's no turning back from that.
Yep.
It looks like we have Carrie. Okay, awesome. I am excited to have a guest with us here. We've got, of course, she is the editor of Eagle Feather News, as well as being a survivor of the Lebret Indian Residential School as well. So pleased to have Carrie Benja with us here. Carrie, how are you doing this evening?
I'm doing good. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Okay.
we can hear you. Yeah, you're a little quiet, but we can hear you.
Okay, I was just playing around. I'm not the most technical person. Yeah, I was there both as a student and I was there to cover the actual announcement. So it was quite the experience playing double duty. I was going down there um, as a representative of my family, bringing all my family history with me, but also was there as a journalist because I think it's really important that we get the facts right. I was the only Indigenous journalist there. Um, what made it unique was that this was my school. This was my place where I spent a lot of my time. I was at the school the same time as Sheldon. We would have graduated together, but he chose to stay another year for some reason. But I do remember that it was 1990 that our parking lot caved in and everybody talked about it. But the thing is, when we were in school, we didn't even know about residential schools. The history we were being taught was the history that was being taught in public school. And it wasn't until I went to university that I even learned about residential schools. And I think um, I'm in a place of privilege now. I have that history of being in the school. Um, I'm the last in my family. I call myself a last generation residential school survivor because my generation is the last one to ever experience what it's like to grow up in an institution. Although our experience was different, we still had that impact of growing up with such a regimented lifestyle. And there's bits of residential school life that still trickle into my daily life. And I've always wondered why I'm a little different from everyone around me, why I'm able to be alone, um, because I spent so much time after school. Um, I went after my dad passed away, so my mom wasn't able to probably care for me when she wanted to. She was suddenly a single mother. She never learned to drive, so I got sent down to Lebret, and I spent my entire high school education there, and I rarely went home. I was there pretty much all year, and then on holidays I went home with other students. And so my experience with residential school, it really changed how I am as a person. And it wasn't until I took a really close look at the impacts of residential school on me, because for me, my experience is different from my parents, but it still also altered how I live, how I interact, and I still carry a lot of that. I like to refer to it as an institutional style life because I learned to look after myself. As a child, I was responsible for my well-being. Yeah, they taught me how to look after myself, but I was taught to just depend on them. And so it's really difficult for me to even reach out to family, depend on family, because for a really long time I grew up alone, isolated, and surrounded by strangers. Essentially, the strangers became my started now. And so there's a whole generation of us. I see it now. A lot of my former classmates don't live in their own communities. They're all over Canada. They go and they make their own living. And it makes me a bit sad because the whole purpose of residential school was to um, um, remove us from our community, remove us from our families to make us integrate into society in a way. Um, I always question whether or not they were finally successful with my generation because there's so many of us that have lost that connection to our own community, but that knowledge of knowing that was the purpose of residential schools, it makes me try really harder to maintain that connection with my community, and it makes me actually work towards that. And so it's a really long explanation, but so I'm approaching the story with a different sort of mindset. Um, I understand my privilege in the fact that media was used for centuries to silence Indigenous people, and now because of the education I received in residential school, it created this ability for me to be able to exist on my own. And so when I moved into the whole industry of news, I was hired a community post. I was the first Indigenous person hired in their entire history because of 130 something years. I was the first Indigenous person to walk into that newsroom and start reporting. I've never been replaced. I've left mainstream media and moved back to community-based storytelling because I think that's also important. But because of the way I was raised, and being able to depend on myself and to just kind of operate without, I was able to make my career within mainstream media, and so I understand my privilege. I have the education, I have the experience, and I also have the network. So I pull that all together as a journalist now, and I see it as my role to take every opportunity that comes to continue advancing the story of Indigenous people and of residential school, because there is still that misconception that this happened long ago, years ago, and so we shouldn't be so impacted by it. But the simple fact that I'm sitting here, I've been sitting here, and there's still a whole lot of people younger than us that went through the residential school system. We are still living it. This is still alive, and the impact has not ceased to be. My children are the first in how many generations to not have residential schools exist or attend a residential school. And that's really significant. Like, I'm the first generation who's had the opportunity and the privilege to raise my children from birth to adulthood without any government forced legislation, government interference. They've never had to left my home. And I think that's really important, and it's really telling about how big of an impact residential schools actually have when we talk about the narrative of Indigenous people.
Carrie, thank you. I'm sorry. I think we're starting to lose your audio a little bit. It was starting to fade out a little bit. But thank you very much for joining us here tonight. I knew that I wanted to have you stop in because it was a media event, and of course, you are one of the most known people that I associate with around, and very proud to be your friend. And I thank you for always being on standby and willing to come on and offer your insights. So thank you very much for that, and have a great night. All right. So thank you very much to Carrie Benjo from Eagle Feather News for stopping in and sharing her perspective about some of the events that went on. Of course, we are talking about the Indian Residential School search that is going on. And with us this evening, our special guest is the project manager as well as the director of operations for the Star Blanket Cree Nation. And Sheldon was telling us a little bit about some of the discoveries that came up recently during the search project over there. Also, I wanted to kind of segue, Sheldon, what would be the next steps that we're looking for after we've discovered what we've discovered? What are we looking to do next?
Well, the announcement obviously provoked a lot of emotion, a lot of triggering, a lot of feelings, um, and a lot of those feelings are pointed towards justice, accountability, um, making sure that the government, the churches, and in the oblates, the Grey Nuns, so however you want to identify as the people that provided those negative experiences during the site's history, they want something done. So the original direction to the project team from the knowledge keepers and from the community was to go ahead and discover. But if you find, uh, leave it alone. Leave it be. That's from traditional protocol. That's from you're dealing with human remains. You're dealing with people that have passed on already. Respect their remains and just leave them be. So that's how we've been operating as a project team up to this point. But now there are people saying we want accountability, we want justice. It's a crime scene, as Chief Bobby Cameron said yesterday. Uh, there's a lot of different elements associated with taking that further. For one, we have to go back to the community. That's the next step now after the announcement. We have to go back to the community, go back to the elders and knowledge keepers, and reaffirm our direction. If that still is the direction that we take, is to discover and then leave them be. After that, we obviously we're going to respect that, but it shuts the door on anything further. Uh, if you want to pursue justice, if you want to pursue accountability, if you want to do all those things, that means a more detailed forensic investigation. That means exhuming. That means
Right.
DNA analysis. That means all these other pieces, finding out where this individual came from, what region. Um, we we have to have remains in order to do that.
It's too invasive, I guess, right?
Yeah, we have to have something there to investigate. So, in order to do that, we'd have to put protocol to the side in order to do those things. If they want accountability, if they want justice, if they want to return these young people to their rightful homes, their rightful communities, that has to be done. So we need to go back and have that hard discussion. Where do we go from here?
What's your opinion, Sheldon?
Oh,
Tough one. I know it's not just your opinion. It's going to be a
yeah,
collaborative
yeah.
a collaborative decision. But what's your opinion?
I would personally, I would like to see them go home. That's what I would like to do. They're not supposed to be here. They're supposed to be home. And if that means I gotta pay for that, and break protocol, then that's what I'll do. If a wrong in this case makes a right, then I'll do that. But that's just me. That's just
Right.
me talking.
Right.
But if the elders say no, just still leave them be, then that's what it is. So we need to revisit that sentiment from the community, from the elders, and see where we're at. In the meantime, we still have that approval to do that core sampling. There's over 2,000 hits just in that area alone. And we're not saying that's all unmarked graves. That's not what we're saying. We're saying with that technology, we found areas that we need to investigate. And I've said that in the presentation yesterday. It could be a stone under the ground. It could be a piece of wood. It could be a clump of gravel. We don't know. Or
Right.
or it could be something. Because the ground penetrating radar technology has limits. And it can't tell us for sure.
I love it.
It can't tell us for sure
Yeah.
what that is
Right.
unless we send something down there, right? So
Right.
trying to maintain the respect for the direction we were given, we were allowed to at least do that. Drill down, bring up some earth, and test it for DNA. And we don't even know if that's going to be enough. If that's going to be like for the older unmarked graves, we're looking at 125 years plus, right? And in the first school era, and then if there are remains in there, then they get a little younger with the second school and the beginning of the third school, like in the 30s. So we're dealing with different ages of possible remains, not just one
Right.
there. So a lot of things to consider moving forward. But we've been in discussions with our scanning team, Axiom, and they say that they have the capabilities to do that, to do the core drilling, as the team had explained it. So we're going to wait for it to warm up. Once it's warm and the ground's thawed out, we're gonna start core sampling.
Wow. Well, that's a lot. That's definitely a lot. And you, I mean, not only the project team, but you as an individual have certainly taken on quite a bit. And I know that it's probably caused a lot of stress outside of the work hours, and right, because that kind of stuff doesn't stop at 5 p.m. on Friday.
No.
So big shout out to you, of course, as an individual, but also as the Star Blanket band member. Also, very proud of everybody out there that's doing that work, because obviously, like Bobby said, Chief Bobby said, it's like a crime scene, and there's energy. There's lots of energy to the work that you guys are doing, and you're always around it. So my hats are off to you guys, and definitely the support is behind you guys moving forward. Whatever we decide to do as a nation, of course, 100% behind. And special thoughts and prayers for everybody back home that might be going through a rough time, because I know that even just discussions around the dinner table and at the coffee tables over the last couple of weeks have probably been fairly intense, I would imagine. So just wanted to thank you very much, Sheldon, and also wanted to say that you did a very good job with your in your role. Speaking for knowing you as long as I have known you, I was honestly thinking, wow, man, this guy is like really made for this. Like that was your moment, because there's so much stress and so much drama, so much energy that goes around the information, to be able to present it in a level, clear-headed manner that you did, without getting emotional and letting emotions run away on you. That was probably took a lot of control. So awesome. Great job on that. Looking forward to seeing what we come up with in the next little while. Do you have any closing comments for the fans that might be watching on Facebook Live or LinkedIn Live?
Yeah. This project, although there's a lot of strong feelings about accountability and justice and what what that means moving forward. This project isn't about blame. This project is about finding the truth, whatever that may be. There's people out there who want to support the project, but they have that anxiety about, oh, we're going to get blamed for this, or we're going to get blamed for that, or this or that or the other thing. What we want to do is walk together down this road of truth, and to find out what happened. We may find a lot more. We may not find any more. We don't know at this point, but we don't want our allies to be anxious, because blame is not our goal. Truth is our goal. What happened and why, and then let's work through that, together in a good way. That's the mentality the project team has, and our chief wants to get to the bottom of it, but he wants to do it in a good way. And he's always telling us, be cautious, be careful. Let's proceed in a cautious manner. So we always take that to heart. So
very well spoken. Thank you so much for being with us here tonight, Sheldon. And if it's okay, I'd like to have you back on sometime to give us another update as we move forward with the project.
Sure. Yeah, for sure.
Awesome. Take care, Sheldon. We'll talk to you again.
All right.
Wow. So, always tough to address some of those things when we talk about the Indian residential school system. There's always a little bit of energy that comes with it. It's not easy to just always talk about those kinds of things when it affects, not only ourselves, but it affects our relatives, our parents, grandparents going forward. So I give my heart out to everybody that's going through a tough time, and just wanted to also mention that across the bottom of the screen, we've got a number that we can call toll free at 1-866-925-4419. That is the National Indian Residential School Crisis Line. And they, of course, provide 24-hour crisis support to former Indian residential school survivors and their families. So with that, I look forward to coming back and talking about some wrestling and some other stuff, probably a little bit later the next time. Thank you to everybody that came here to be with us this time. We'll see you the next time. However, in the meantime and in between time, that's it. Another edition of the Wavell Star Show. Bye-bye now, and we will see you again.